In the streets of Rome, Enzo runs as fast as he can. The police are chasing him because he has stolen a watch. The chase lasts for a while, and when Enzo sees a protest, he mixes into the crowd to slow down the officers. He finally reaches a bridge, but a police car blocks his path, so he rushes to hide inside a crane over the river. Unfortunately, the officers see what he's doing, and Enzo has no choice but to jump into the water. He waits until the police are gone to move again, but he accidentally steps on some old barrels, causing him to slip. One of the barrels breaks, and Enzo is covered in radioactive materials. Grabbing onto the crane, he manages to get to the surface and starts his journey back home. During the bus ride, he can't stop coughing up a very unpleasant substance. As he walks the last few blocks to his apartment in the slums, his body feels weaker with every step. That night, Enzo spends a lot of time in the bathroom, vomiting more of that black substance. When he gets into bed, he can't stop shivering, even while covering his body with several blankets. On the television, the news reports on recent bombings and protests demanding help from the government. In the morning, Enzo feels better, and his saliva is clear again. After a quick breakfast, he goes to see his neighbor, Sergio, to sell him the watch, but he has to wait while Sergio finishes a meeting with his gang. In the office, the gang leader, Fabio, argues with his men about how to proceed with their next mission. They need to retrieve some illegal substances being transported by a pair of mule brothers. Antonio is not very happy with the improvised plan and complains, but Fabio demands obedience. Then one of the guys brings Fabio a new phone, but it's not the requested color, so Fabio proceeds to beat him to death. Once the meeting is over, Sergio finally meets with Enzo and buys the watch. As Enzo is about to leave, Sergio proposes that he join the mission too. It's quite risky, but Enzo needs the money and accepts. They then go to Sergio's house to get the things they'll need, and Enzo meets Alessia, Sergio's daughter. She behaves rather strangely and often draws childish artwork that she hangs on all the walls. Alessia tells her father about her favorite anime, Steel Jeeg, truly believing the hero will come to save her one day. As the men leave, Sergio apologizes to Enzo for his daughter's behavior and reveals that she is psychologically affected. She was always special since she was a child, but after her mother's death, she isolated herself from reality. Moments later, Sergio and Enzo pick up the Mule brothers at the airport and take them to an empty construction site. One of them feels sick, and the other insists they must go to the hospital. But Sergio punches him and demands he hand over the packages first. The brothers are carrying the substances hidden in their bodies, and the mission is to extract them safely. They move to the 10th floor of the building where the brothers are supposed to push out the packages. However, the sick brother suffers a sudden attack and dies. Apparently, the package broke open in his stomach, and he overdosed. Sergio announces they'll have to cut open the body to retrieve the package. The living brother becomes enraged and throws water in his face to distract him, then steals his gun. At that moment, Sergio answers a call on his cell phone, and during the distraction, another gang member listens as Sergio is shot several times. With his last bit of strength, Sergio smashes the attacker's head against a column as both their bodies collapse. The brother fires one last time, hitting Enzo in the shoulder and causing him to fall from the building. Enzo's body hits the ground with unbearable pain, but he doesn't have a single wound. He gets up sore and confused and runs off. Meanwhile, Fabio and his gang meet with Nuncia, a dangerous terrorist and one of Rome's biggest traffickers. Fabio is supposed to deliver the brothers' packages to her, so he lies and promises he'll get them to her soon. He knows that if he fails, she will kill him. On his way home, Alessia stops Enzo and asks about her father. Enzo ignores her and enters his apartment to run to the bathroom, where he covers the bullet wound with some toilet paper. Alessia refuses to give up and starts banging on his door, causing a very frustrated Enzo to respond by punching the wood. To his surprise, he creates a hole with just his fist. To test it, he pushes a wardrobe and rips a radiator off the wall to bend it, confirming he now has super strength. Then, Enzo goes out with his face covered and finds an ATM. He uses his new strength to punch it several times, loosening it enough to rip it from the wall. He takes it home and uses the money to finally fill his refrigerator and buy some adult films. When he checks the wound on his shoulder, it is completely healed. At that moment, he hears screams and goes out to find Fabio and his men harassing Alessia. It turns out they don't know where Sergio took the brothers and need the information, but Alessia responds with more of her delusions. At first, Enzo ignores them and tries to go downstairs, but Fabio gets annoyed by his presence and slaps him. Enzo keeps walking as the gang pushes Alessia into her home. They start searching the place for illegal packages, and when they grab Alessia's anime DVD, she panics and scratches Fabio in the process. He immediately hits her several times before telling one of his men to hold her down. While the guy touches her inappropriately, Fabio takes a knife and threatens to kill her if she doesn't tell him where Sergio is. Suddenly, Enzo bursts through the window with his face covered. A gangster approaches to punch him, but Enzo barely feels it and easily lifts the big guy to throw him onto a table. Fabio takes Alessia as a hostage and orders his men to stop the stranger, but Enzo defeats them all in seconds thanks to his new power. A terrified Fabio announces that they are retreating, and the men run out of the apartment. Alessia takes the opportunity to hit Fabio and free herself, causing him to fall. Fabio drops the knife at Enzo's feet before fleeing with his men. Enzo then removes the knife and looks inside his shoe to discover he has lost a toe. Alessia believes Enzo is the hero from her favorite anime and asks him to take her to his place to be safe. They go to his apartment, and Enzo sews up his foot while Alessia keeps rambling about the animated superhero. She thinks Enzo should help the whole city, but he claims he doesn't care about people and only saved her because she is Sergio's daughter. When she asks about her father again, he replies that he doesn't know where he is. That night, Alessia sleeps in the bed and Enzo takes the couch, but he can't fall asleep because he's distracted by his body. When he searches his jacket, he finds a box containing some papers detailing a plan to rob an armored truck. The next morning, Enzo wakes up and, upon checking his foot, discovers that the toe has not reattached to his body, indicating that not all injuries can heal. Since Alessia has no relatives, Enzo takes her to the nursing home Sergio used to send her to whenever he was incarcerated. Enzo promises he will come back for her tomorrow and plays along when she continues to call him by the name of her favorite anime hero. Upon returning home, Enzo studies Sergio's plan but also watches some episodes of Alessia's show. Meanwhile, the security footage of the ATM robbery has gone viral. Fabio and his gang see it and recognize that it's the same guy who attacked them. The group is still looking for the packages as Nuncia is waiting for them, but Antonio suggests asking for a loan to pay her. However, Fabio refuses to accept outside help so as not to damage his reputation and announces they will rob the armored truck. When they return to the office, Nuncia's men inform Fabio that they have found Sergio's body, so she demands the money by the next day. The following day, Fabio and his men hide in the tall grass by the road waiting for the truck. However, Enzo appears on a nearby bridge and throws rocks at the vehicle to stop it. He then jumps onto it, breaks the window, and throws the driver out. The other scared employee surrenders immediately, so Enzo punches the back door of the truck. Once he opens it, he can steal all the money. Furious, Fabio comes out of his hiding place and opens fire, but Enzo simply runs away. The gang has no choice but to do the same, as the employee is already calling the police. That night, Enzo fills his refrigerator again and buys himself a projector to continue watching the series. The moment is interrupted by the doorbell, and when he looks out the window, he sees a police car parked outside. Enzo opens the door just enough to see two police officers who have found Alessia wandering around, so they've brought her back. Once they leave, Alessia gives Enzo something she knitted for him, telling him he should wear it when he transforms. Enzo tries to tell her he doesn't want her there, but Alessia discovers he has bought the complete DVD set of her favorite series, and they end up watching it together. During the marathon, Alessia looks for more food and accidentally takes Enzo's hand. She holds it gently and squeezes it, but as she pulls out a DVD case from under his leg, she has a crisis. She thinks Enzo is trying to make a move on her and begs him not to hurt her, confessing that it hurts. Understanding that Alessia was abused in the past, Enzo hugs her and swears he will never hurt her. Meanwhile, Nuncia's men wait at the meeting point, but when they don't see Fabio, they try to call him. Fabio rejects the call as he watches them from a distance. The next morning, Fabio notices some graffiti of the mysterious masked thief on the walls of his building. In the office, he finds Antonio preparing to get that loan to pay Nuncia. An argument ensues, but no matter how much Fabio yells, Antonio no longer respects him and claims that he is now in charge. When Antonio leaves, Fabio orders his dogs to kill him. Back with Enzo, he takes Alessia to an abandoned amusement park because she remembers being there with her parents when they were still a happy family. Alessia sits on the Ferris wheel, and Enzo, using his strength, sets it in motion, which makes her very happy. They then go to a mall where Alessia assigns a character to every person they see. She convinces Enzo to try, but he doesn't have much imagination. They stop at a store to buy the princess costume Alessia always wanted. She invites Enzo into the dressing room and gives him some innocent kisses, although Enzo doesn't enjoy it. Upon leaving the mall, Alessia is angry and yells at Enzo for not helping her find her father, so he finally tells her that Sergio is dead. Alessia has a nervous breakdown and blames Enzo for not protecting him. She also tells him that she now understands why he has no friends, because he doesn't care about anyone, not even her. She then runs away, alone. Meanwhile, the truck robbery is on the news and Fabio throws objects around his office, jealous of the masked stranger's popularity. Seconds later, Alessia gets on a tram, but it stops abruptly when Enzo grabs it from behind. People observe his strength and recognize him as the infamous thief, starting to record him. After stopping the tram system, Enzo gets on and apologizes to Alessia. She agrees to leave with him, but reminds him to wear a mask since everyone has seen his face. Enzo takes her off the tram as the crowd continues to film him. The moment is interrupted by a new explosion in the city. As everyone panics, Enzo takes advantage of the confusion to escape, with Alessia unnoticed. Minutes later, they are at the police station and Alessia identifies her father's body. In a parking lot, Fabio meets with an old acquaintance to ask for the loan. Nuncia appears with her men who drag him out of the vehicle and beat him. Fabio tries to explain that he already has the money, but they ignore him. Nuncia shoots the other trafficker and takes the money from the car, while her henchmen tie Fabio up with tape. They then pour gasoline on him and fill his mouth with soap while mocking him for crying. Nuncia prepares to light him up, but instead of setting him on fire, she starts laughing and says they were just kidding. At that moment, the other trafficker, who is still alive, pulls out a gun and opens fire, quickly killing all of Nuncia's men. Fabio takes advantage of the confusion to grab a gun from a fallen body and also shoots, wounding Nuncia in the leg before she flees in her car. Full of rage, Fabio shoots the other trafficker. That night, Fabio returns to his office only to find that all his dogs and the rest of his gang are dead. On TV, he sees the footage of Enzo on the tram and recognizes him as the same guy who confronted him on the stairs. At that moment, the only surviving gang member enters the room and Fabio tells him they will get their revenge. They get in their car just in time to see Alessia and Enzo leaving their apartment with a bag of clothes and riding away on a motorcycle, so they start following them. Sometime later, Enzo and Alessia are hiding in a hotel in another city, hoping the police won't find them there. Enzo tells Alessia how difficult it was growing up in the slums and how he had to witness the deaths of all his friends during a robbery. Suddenly, Fabio bursts into the room and shoots Enzo with a sedative, knocking him unconscious, while his henchman also enters to capture Alessia. When Enzo wakes up, he is tied up with tons of tape. Alessia is locked in a van, and Fabio threatens to kill her if Enzo doesn't tell him how to get his powers. At first, Enzo claims he doesn't know how he got his powers, so Fabio orders his henchmen to hurt Alessia. Hearing her suffer, Enzo has no choice but to cooperate. He guides him to the spot in the river behind the crane where it all began. However, Fabio refuses to jump into the water, convinced it's a trap. At the same time, Alessia tells the henchman she needs help urinating, and once he is close enough, she stabs him in the neck with a knitting needle. She runs towards the river just as Nuncia and her thugs also appear. Fabio opens fire and tries to take Alessia as a hostage, but one of the enemies quickly knocks him down. When Enzo reaches her, he discovers she has also been shot. A dying Fabio tries to crawl away, but Nuncia stops him, using a flamethrower to burn him. Fabio panics for a few seconds before his body, now engulfed in flames, falls into the river. Before she dies, Alessia asks Enzo to become the hero Jeeg and save everyone. The next morning, Fabio emerges from the river covered in chemical waste. He tries to hide his wounds by covering the burn scars with makeup and chooses a wig to cover his bald head. In a moment of frustration, he tries to kill a fly and destroys part of his car with a single blow, revealing that he has also acquired super strength. Later, he heads to Nuncia's headquarters and leaves his phone recording to document what he is about to do. Thanks to his new powers, he easily kills all the henchmen in the room. When Nuncia arrives, he hugs her so tightly that he breaks her spine, killing her instantly. After a macabre dance with her corpse, he notices a mysterious door. Opening it, he discovers a complete arsenal of weapons. The explosives stored there prove that Nuncia's gang was responsible for the recent bombings in the city. Meanwhile, Enzo is too sad to act and simply wanders the streets. A couple of police officers watch him from their patrol car, and in trying to stop him, they cause an accident in which a family vehicle crashes. The officers manage to rescue the mother, but they can't get to her daughter before the car starts to burn. Enzo runs to the vehicle, rips the door off with his bare hands, and pulls the little girl out just in time. The mother, in tears, is reunited with her daughter and hugs Enzo in gratitude, which reminds him of Alessia. Then, on a street vendor's cart, a television shows the video of Fabio killing Nuncia's gang, which has gone viral. The video ends with Fabio speaking directly to the camera and announcing that he is preparing something big. Determined to stop him, Enzo convinces a driver to lend him his motorcycle. When the young man asks his name, Enzo responds with the name of the anime hero, Jeeg. Meanwhile, Fabio has arrived at a crowded stadium, posing as a homeless person, which allows him to take the guards by surprise and knock them unconscious. Once inside, he begins to prepare the bomb. When Enzo also arrives at the stadium, an employee reminds him that he needs a ticket, but Enzo simply moves a heavy segment of the gate with his bare hands to quickly make his way through. He finds Fabio and tries to fight him, but Fabio surprises him with his new strength and throws him against a wall. Enzo responds by throwing a toilet at his head, and the fight continues. They both exchange blows with superhuman strength, using the walls and objects around them as improvised weapons. Realizing he can't win, Fabio tries to flee. Enzo runs after him as the police begin to surround the stadium. After several chases, Fabio hides among the crowd in the stands, but Enzo manages to find him and repeatedly punches him until he drops the detonator. Fabio fights back, throws Enzo to the ground, and jumps over the barrier. When Enzo manages to get back up, he sees the police trying to capture Fabio. In a last-ditch effort, he jumps after him, but upon landing, he hits his head, getting stunned. This gives Fabio the opportunity to beat the officers and escape again. Enzo, forcing his exhausted body, pursues him to an ambulance, where Fabio has manually activated the bomb and escapes again. When Enzo realizes there are only 5 minutes left until the explosion, he gets into the driver's seat and starts the ambulance. Unfortunately, the police are blocking the street and won't let him pass, even after he warns them about the bomb. Enzo decides to take the bomb directly and push the ambulance forward, causing a collision with the police vehicles. While the officers are distracted, Enzo runs through the crowd trying to reach the bridge, but Fabio intercepts him and starts banging his head against the ground. The bomb falls near the railing, and Fabio runs towards it to reduce the timer to 15 seconds. Enzo recovers just in time to lunge at him, and they both fall into the river along with the explosive. The explosion finally occurs underwater. It doesn't destroy anything, but generates a strong wave that throws Fabio's decapitated head onto the bridge. Over the following days, the media debates whether Enzo is a true hero or just a lucky thief. Most assume he died in the explosion, but he actually managed to survive. Since then, he wears the mask that Alessia knitted for him to hide his identity, as he dedicates his life to helping the city as the new and true Jeeg.
If you want interesting movie recaps, like, share, and subscribe to follow us for more movie recaps.